Here we go.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it. That's a great analogy. Something I want to talk about is, and I don't want to bore people when I say this word. So this is going to go in a whole different direction than what you think.
Yeah.
So when I say adoption rate, don't be like, oh my God, this is marketing or this is like tech shit. I'm out.
Here we go.
But the way that people have adopted Tartle worldwide, we're in 225 countries. When you look at how fast we're growing, this technology has the potential to be the fastest adoption in all of recorded history. Because when you look at technology down through the centuries, how long did it take for? I mean, so let's use a ledger.
I see where you're going.
You see what I'm at? So
the Babylonians started with ledgers.
Yes.
Their whole idea. So in ancient Babylon, okay, let's drop back for a second, everybody. The idea was people had property, whether it be stocks, right? Like I own a business, or I have like land.
Right.
We need to make sure we have a proper record of who owns what and how much of it.
Yes. So the Babylonians, let's say we don't know who started ledgers. Let's say it was them.
Yeah.
So then merchants and trade comes, and then they're like, oh, I like this. So then that begins to get adopted into other countries, and slowly you can look at a map.
Yeah.
Probably over, it probably took, 50 years, 100 years to adopt ledgers throughout the world, maybe even longer.
Well, you want to know where it started? So there was a clay tablet called 322, and it dealt with Pythagorean triples. It was a Sumerian clay tablet with cuneiform on it. And their whole idea was the understanding of geometry, squares, so they could measure land, real estate, to say who owned what.
That's
and
awesome.
They had a recorded ledger of it, and it's one of the most studied Babylonian clay tablets of all time.
That's super cool.
Because it showed that they had, or we, misunderstood how much the ancients actually knew about math and geometry.
So when we look at we look at technology being adopted, and we look at it through history.
Well, why
then you can look at like Facebook, they've got billions of people now, but that took them, let's say to the point now, how old are they? 20 years?
Yeah.
15 years, whatever it may be.
Congratulations for living that long.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But I mean, a lot of tech was passed through war, whether it was, crossbow technology. And then, next thing you know, we can throw oil over the wall, burning hot oil.
Wait a minute. We can turn the cotton gin into a minigun.
Yeah. Exactly.
a rotary cannon. Like, wait a minute.
And then other, this was really funny. I heard the other day, just a quick snippet out of the latest technologies from, in wartime, on as far as naval goes in the last 200 years.
Okay.
The admirals that we've had, in the United States, the admirals that we have had, and I don't know what they call them in England.
Why do we always miss this?
Marshal, no, field marshals are what.
Yeah, field marshals different,
but it doesn't matter. The key is this. Out of the 19 technologies, major technologies like steel ships, stuff like that, submarines, all this,
yes,
17 of the 19 were rejected by all these leaders. It took private enterprise to come up with something and then turn around and say, for instance, I think I told you about this. The cavalry were like, no, horses are way better than tanks.
Yeah.
They were actually, the Germans were like, oh no, we'll build tanks.
Yeah. And what were the
World War I? What happened?
They were like, okay, this is not working out because they said,
how many horses would die with a tank?
Because they said for thousands of years, man has used this in warfare, but that adoption is slow, right? So war, right? From the longbow. Right, from essentially the broadsword, so Bronze Age to the broadsword, the longbow, to plated armor, to crossbows, trebuchet siege engines, and then it grows and grows.
Cannons.
Yeah. The adoption of these things only happen at the time when there's political turmoil.
Yes.
And somebody has a good reason to go say, like, I now have a technological advantage.
Yes.
That's just a country that has that. The government says, or the monarchy, we have a technological advantage. Fast forward to us today. What happens when the technological advantage is handed over to individuals. What happens when you give them the choice of whether or not they want to use this technology?
That makes sense. Yes.
For free.
Yes.
The adoption rate skyrockets. Your J curve's insane.
Yes.
It's almost vertical.
Yes.
And so if you then combine, and if to go back to the Babylonian perspective, economics. So not only are you going to give me a free technology, but you're going to tell me that this tool can also help me in an economic way. So I can actually have a financial gain from using this new technology, which I have the choice to adopt.
Yes. Yes.
Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah, 100%. But I and not only that, but as you see technology evolving now,
Yeah.
and we're looking at how quickly things are being implemented. We're at this stage right now where technology can, we can 1,000x what was 20 years ago.
Oh, most definitely.
But when we look at TARTLE, we have the potential to have the fastest adoption of a technology, because TARTLE is its own technology.
Correct.
In all of recorded history, which leads to, if that, let's say that user case, if this becomes a reality, which is well on its way to
It's well on its way to that reality,
then TARTLE would be the largest distribution of wealth recorded in history ever.
So we're going to have to break that down.
Yeah. Well, let me give an explanation. One I want to start you off with. I'm going to put you on the right path. Here we go. Yeah, I'm going to tee you up. Okay, here's why. Anybody can participate in it.
Okay.
Anybody. You don't have to be a hedge fund manager.
No, you don't have to have resources ahead of time.
You don't have to be an American privileged.
No, you don't. You can be the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich. It's a completely equalized field. It's a tool which anybody can be a part of. It's like oxygen. TARTLE's like oxygen.
Yes.
It's not for one person to say, I own all the oxygen rights.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
We all get our share in the oxygen. Okay? And when we breathe it and exchange it, we share it back with the planet. So the planet continued to do its thing. Business nowadays is fundamentally supported by data. In the future, it will only be supported by data. All decision making is everything fundamentally based on data, nothing else.
Yeah, and I just and I encourage people to watch it. Leo Tillman.
Yes.
The book, he wrote the book Agile. You had a podcast, and it was just released like 2 weeks ago. And I watched it. You had a podcast with him and you on there.
Yep.
And he was over and over again talking about data 4.0
risk.
And then going into like the future and what it's going to look like with the World Economic Forum, what they've been talking about.
That's right.
With the what is it, the fourth industrial revolution, or
that's correct,
third or whatever
it is.
Yeah. So data is paramount, and the best minds in the world are thinking about this.
Right. And if you don't have it, well, then you're going to be a lagger, and you also won't be able to adapt to society.
Right.
Society is going to change faster than you can keep up with unless you have the data to analyze it.
Right.
So if we think about TARTLE having the greatest adoption curve ever, right? There's no cost for the use of this tool. This tool empowers individuals and helps them secure their rights. And it also financially emancipates them from current situations they're in through the sharing. So what happens here? One individual in a developing country may join TARTLE. They sell some data. They can now afford themselves food for the next week to feed themselves and their family. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to tell their wife, their brother,
yes,
their cousin,
yes,
their children, their grandmother. They're going to tell all their friends in the surrounding area, you should sign up for this.
Well, it's the adoption effects repeat themselves.
That's the whole point. And when one individual feels the success,
right,
they share it quickly with all those other people, and it's free for them to all join in on. There's nothing prohibiting them from doing it. It's not difficult to use.
So whenever you have this adoption effect and there's no barrier of entry, then TARTLE becomes the biggest network application because it's built on human work.
Right. So if we're talking about the greatest amount of wealth generated ever, it will happen on TARTLE. Because the work happens with people's minds, their thoughts. And they are generating data.
Right.
These assets.
Right.
Nobody can take that away from them. They don't have to pay to be into part of the system. They do it through work. And every single one of those assets has a dollar value associated with it. So when billions of people are generating trillions of pieces of data,
yes,
all with a dollar value associated with it, I hope the light bulb starts to click here or turn on.
I want people to look at it this way. You have a digital identity.
Thank you.
So look at yourself as a person that you have this more than you think.
Correct.
There's gigabytes of you.
Anybody ever take a picture
digital
of you?
entity? Yeah. If you could take a picture of you, and that would be really interesting with all your data all smashed all around, and then it makes it you. But digital identity, the investment is that culture will become your digital identity.
Yes, it will.
And that's what everybody's investing on. That's where the world leaders are thinking. That's where these smart minds are thinking. The metaverse and all that, digital identity is culture.
That is because people are inherently living more of their life online.
Yes.
So culture will happen in this real world we feel here, the very material world, but will transition itself into something very immaterial. It will be a duplicate copy, if not an exponentially greater, more saturated cultural aspect in the digital realm that otherwise didn't exist.
And what you have now with your digital identity is they are harvesting it for free. They are harvesting you and your work for free. Big tech is doing this.
What happens when a culture gets oppressed? French Revolution.
Well, this is where I'm getting into.
Yeah,
this is right, exactly. War will be fought through digital sovereign states.
Wow. So the CIA,
it's going to fraction the online world.
Yeah, the CIA knows this.
Yeah, the CIA knows this. That's why the other day somebody was saying that the CIA came up with Ethereum.
Well, think about it. They understand that there's the transition of warfare, and they saw this with Edward Snowden. And this is what a lot of Snowden was working on with X-Keyscore. They saw that the future of warfare would be done on the internet. So as these collectives, coalitions, sovereign groups act online throughout their cultures, there will be some rubbing, some friction that happens here. That's if, and only if, the state continues to define for people what their culture is and how that data should be used.
And so as we become the largest digital sovereign state, because TARTLE will become the largest, then there will be big tech will look at TARTLE and there will be war.
Yeah, as a threat.
Yes.
They'll look at it as a threat, but we come to them as an option to respect the rights of those individuals.
Yeah, but the people, what people have to, they all, I want to make sure I make this clear. This is very, very important.
Fucking get it so clear for me, please.
And I have this in my notes. A free market, the people set the rules.
That's what I was trying
to
get
So it becomes a pragmatic solution to the world's issues.
Wonderful word choice. A lot of the issues in our world have been because somebody else tells someone else what to do.
Yes. Well, it's centralized.
Well, yeah, it's centralized, but it removes the choice.
Yes.
It tells people to believe in these systems. And then when the system doesn't work for them, what happens?
Well, but that's what's been happening. People have given up their freedom to external hopes and beliefs. And then they turn around and then the outcome that they're promised never happens. No matter who you are, whether you're conservative or liberal or Democrat, Republican or Socialist Party or Marxist Party, it doesn't matter.
Pay attention. These leaders,
it never works.
It never did.
It never does.
So what we find now is that you no longer have to put your belief and your free will. You don't have to give it up to these other, centralized, fascist, monarchs or whatever it might be that you want to give it up to. Technology is now affording you to take that power back and make the choice for yourself. And now the states are trying to keep up with the amount of growth of essentially all these sovereign nodes that are popping up on the internet.
But the beautiful part about us being a digital sovereign state, TARTLE, in and of itself, is as we grow, we're promoting free market, we're promoting free will, we're promoting work that you do, we're promoting taking personal responsibility.
Correct.
You can't go against that.
No, you can't. And if you go against that, you go against what it means to be a human being.
Yes.
And these human beings that are on Tartle, the millions of them, decide where they want their future to go.
Well, I mean, they talk about DAOs and all this new stuff, but it's just an agreement on getting things done.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
People are trying to find a way just to come to an agreement. But if we do not understand one another, if we do not afford sovereignty to individuals' choice making and let them be heard, which is one of the most difficult things to do, is actually get people to interface with you, to hear their voice. If that doesn't happen, I don't care what you're doing with technology. It won't work.
It won't work. But when you look at, because specifically I want people to understand this, when you look at Tartle and you look at the economics of it, like in the sense of, okay, I'm doing work. I have a digital identity. I'm doing work online. I'm getting paid for the work that I'm doing.
Yes.
It's a free market, seller, buyer, buyer, seller, back and forth. Then it becomes the largest economic ecosystem
Ever.
in the world.
Ever.
Yeah.
The internet for a long time lacked direction, lacked purpose. The whole point of the internet is human understanding. We only communicate with one another to try and understand.
Yes.
But it still lacked direction. There wasn't a real clarifying tool. There wasn't a way for people to be incentivized to refine their focus, take responsibility, and actually share something to elevate human understanding.
Yes, 100%.
Okay? Tartle shows up. We got something free. Anybody who's on the internet can access it. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you're doing. Okay? You have the ability to refine your focus and share information to truly uplift human understanding through this communication, and you get a financial incentive for that sharing.
But I mean, Tartle basically is re-engineering the internet from the ground up.
It has to. If the foundation is not reworked,
right,
then it won't work at scale. So we have created a tool that realigns the internet fundamentally for actually the benefit of the individual.
Well, not only that.
Not for the people who run the servers of the internet.
Well, when you look at Tartle, and I like to say it is the greatest movement of all time, because a movement, you have political, you have economic, you have financial, and you have cultural.
Yep.
And each one of those, political, whether you want, the word politic in and of itself is not what you think it is. We're not choosing a side, Republican. We're a free market.
Correct.
That means we're for you and your sovereignty.
Yeah. We're apolitical.
Yeah. And financial, of course, we just talked about that. Cultural, we talked about that.
Yep.
So that's what creates a society.
Right.
And Tartle becomes a healthy society.
And now the metaverse has a foundation to stand upon.
Well, it's a stake in the network.
That's precisely correct. And every individual takes their own stake. And some people are like, well, are you guys Web 3.0? No, we're beyond that.
No.
The whole idea of NFTs that have recently blown up, we were far before that.
Well, Tartle's in state. It's digital. It's a digital finance system.
Yeah.
It's a DAO corporate system.
Yep.
It's a social tokens NFT. It's it digital identifies stores of values. It's digital meets physical.
Yeah.
It's all of Web 3.0 already.
It's already built. It's already there. And what people don't see when they look at Tartle is that the whole fabric of what happens on Tartle in the very background, every data packet is an NFT.
Well,
your whole profile is an NFT.
All puzzle pieces lead back to Tartle.
Every single
one. It's everyone. And this is something I want people to really think about this, but we're basically the Netflix of data.
Listen, I'm going to sit here and start smoking dope on camera because that's what we're doing. We're smoking around dope. But it's legit, though. Why do you go to Netflix? You go to Netflix because you want to be entertained. Your payback for the selection. Yes. So I choose what movie I want to watch.
Yeah, here's a data packet. I choose this data packet. I'm going to do some work right now.
I'm going to do some work.
I've got 10 minutes.
Okay,
let me look at this data packet. This data packet says it's going to take me 10 minutes to complete.
Yeah.
I click on that one. I complete that data packet. Oh, I go back, look at my wallet the next day, whatever.
Fantastic.
And there's money in there.
Oh my God, there's money in there? Yeah. Because people are so curious. Netflix wants to know what you're watching.
Yes.
Okay. So in a very roundabout sense,
right,
you're paying them so they can know more about you and continue to feed you more stuff.
Well, it's a free market in the sense of if Squid Games, that started from nothing.
Yeah.
That guy, he put it on a laptop. He didn't have any money. We heard all the story of that.
Yeah.
And then for a while, it was most popular. Still, it's probably top 10. So who decided that it was popular?
The people.
The users.
Yeah, it's not like Netflix was like, oh, look how popular it is.
Mm-hmm. They haven't. I don't think they've done that yet. They probably will, like push agendas.
So
and I imagine Paramount may say, "Hey, we'll give you extra money if you promote this."
I will share.
Yeah,
I've been working on a new mathematical formula, and what I'm trying to find is how do I mathematically define cause and effect, and how do I essentially force a probability and determine the time of when that probability will occur.
there's so many variants to that.
Right. So I've been distilling it down. So when
you can always go back and look, and then you can dissect that out off the timeline.
Right. But then, like going forward,
But
to
predict future?
What happens when a new node comes in?
Yeah.
And what's the essential, or how would I say, how many interactions are happening in it, and how strong is that interaction also has an effect on it. So your point on Netflix is going to drive things to you. They'll essentially try to force the frequency of how many times this thing is seen. Not that they directly tell you that you need to watch it, but they're an indirect subconscious manipulation of seeing this thing over and over. You're I need to use this. There's a formula to that.
Well, it's also if there's top 10 videos.
What are you going to do? Oh, everyone else is watching
everyone else is watching it. Yeah. So if we have top 10 data packets. But I mean, I said Netflix of data.
Did you just say like, top 10 data packets?
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to write to the team.
Make the packets just like the interface.
We're
gonna make like really cool thumbnails,
like little preview.
Hey, we're talking marketing right now on the podcast. But let's sum this up. What I was meaning Netflix of data in the sense of the choice, the variety,
correct,
of the data packets, the ability for you to go in there anytime, any place, anywhere. Whether we're even geared, if you have a low powered cell phone and you have a phone that's been given to you for free and you can kind of get on the internet, we're making it. Gustavo, shout out to him. He's working to make sure that the system works.
Yesterday, we reached 100% accessibility benchmark. So it doesn't matter how low power that device is, or how any sort of handicap you may have visually, anything like that. Yes. We have actually redesigned the system so it absolutely works for everybody.
That slaps.
It slaps.
Yeah. So how if somebody wants to be a buyer of data, how
good.
simple is that?
Yeah, no problem. You are going to email mh@tartle.co.
mh@tartle.co.
And if you email our chief revenue officer, we will hook you up with 5,000 free data packets.
Right. Say you saw it on this podcast.
Okay. I heard the podcast, blah, 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 blah. Tartle's the future. I get it. I want to be a part of it. Email that guy. And if you don't want your 5,000 for free, you go to tartle.co and you sign up as a buyer.
Yeah, you can just go on there. You can sign up for a buyer and then email mh@tartle and say, hey, I want my free data packets. But we would love to, wherever you're at in the world, if you want to buy data.
I don't care. Indonesia, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We'd love to have you be on this latest, greatest, best ever technology for the world.
Future.
Thank you.